Right.
Meta.
And it is time to move into picks and bans for game number 1 between Samsung Galaxy and the Jin Air Green Wings. And there's the Ezreal ban starting things off. Wow, bans going fast and furious today. Ryze, Rek'Sai, Azir, Gnar. And what's the final ban going to be?
The Azir ban coming in against Crown. That's not very surprising. Braum will be actually banned. So Braum has been climbing from red side first pick status to blue side first pick status to now red side ban. It's been a pretty meteoric rise for Braum, and he's so good right now.
Yeah.
So Kalista is left up for Fury. That is kind of a scary prospect, actually.
Well, I mean, if you give a team that's centered around a really good AD carry Kalista, you're really kind of asking for trouble right off the bat.
I mean, Maokai and Alistair locked in for Jin Air. They really want to make these picks work. And the Maokai, no surprise, Trace almost every game this season has played either Maokai or Rumble, champions that don't need a lot of gold to be successful.
Yeah. Looks like Gragas is going to be locked in for Eve, so just kind of ignoring the Nidalee completely. And they are going to pick up the Victor as well, too, so that makes a bit more sense.
Crown has been playing it, but we've also seen it banned a lot against GBM. So it's a takeaway against Gang by Mom more than anything else, I think. Obviously a very strong pick, so I expect the Nidalee to come in here from Chaser. They do well on that champion. You can play the Twisted Fate into the Victor if you want. GBM already has Teleport as his summoner, so I imagine we will see TF.
Yeah, he was kind of hinting at it when we had that conversation a bit earlier that he was planning on trying to play that one again today. And the summoners seem to suggest that. They're going to lock in the Nidalee and save that mid pick for last, which is not too surprising.
So Corki for Pilot, just one of those players who really likes these caster 80 carries. And Jin Air, classic Jin Air. They want to go for some sort of poke or kite composition with the Nidalee and the Corki. They've used Victor in these comps. Obviously can't do that right now, but TF would also fit in nicely with what they've been running in the past. Now, Samsung, they need some. Well, they've got the Gragas for some nice engage. They may try and look for something just a little bit more.
Right.
Kuve likes to play Rumble. That would be appropriate here. He likes to play Shen, which would be a little bit more problematic, but maybe he can get in onto Gragas.
Well, the Rengar would be a bit of a shock. And also, for what it's worth, Tahm Kench is enabled this week. Doubt we'll see him before any buffs come in. And seeing Kuve take that Hecarim would be not too surprising. He's played a lot of it.
Hecarim's a good pick, but you have to be worried because he has no escape mechanisms, and it's the Maokai Nidalee combo, which is just an incredibly easy gank to make. And Hecarim, most teams don't really play him anymore. He's fallen out of the meta a little bit because he is so item dependent. I know they wanted the engage here with the Hecarim, and there's the TF.
Yep.
So pretty obvious that was coming. But when you have the Hecarim with the Janna, I would have rather they had gone for something like Rumble Annie here, actually. So that they have the engage from the support instead, and they have the Rumble for the mid-game fights. Because TF Nidalee Maokai, it's going to take a miracle for Kuve to live through that gank. It's going to slow down his Trinity Force substantially, and that means that he's not going to be able to split push when the big Nidalee TF Corki siege starts in the mid-game. So I don't think Hecarim is really an ideal pick here for Samsung because it's just going to be so hard for him to live not only before the TF ult comes through, but after, especially afterwards with GBM. And we've talked about this before with the teleport. It just allows TF to port right back to his mid lane turret to continue to wave clear. And it really is great for TF because he can push the turret up while the enemy mid is recalling, because he can get back to lane instantly and then make a play. So it gives you a lot more room to make plays on TF when Victor cannot be on the map, and therefore he can't affect any of the ganks.
Very true. I'll see if Jin Air has what it takes to take down Samsung here in the first game of our first best of 3 of the night. And Jin Air really picking themselves into a comp, too, that sort of supports more of that early game pressure. We'll see if they can bring it against Samsung Galaxy. It's time to get in the game and find out. All right, welcome to Summoner's Rift. Samsung Galaxy taking on the Jin Air Green Wings. Playoff spots potentially on the line.
Okay, so Kuve hasn't committed to an actual buy yet here. We'll see. He's going to start at a jungle camp, go back and buy something on top of his flask, I think, depending on which lane he ends up in. So waiting to see if there will be a lane swap before committing to an item purchase. Pretty normal for Hecarim players. And now...
We do have a bit of an invade coming in.
Yeah, coming down for Jin. Trace all by his lonesome with his sapling in the top tri-brush.
Early ward by Luna, so they will be able to spot this. They'll see him in tri-brush. And that's going to cause Samsung to move into the top jungle and see if they can get some of their own wards down, I would imagine.
Yep, so we will see a warding mission here into the bottom side. Probably just don't want to be in the same lane as Fury. Of course, that Kalista is still quite scary in the laning phase.
Oh, Fury just pretty scary all game long, too.
Yeah, he definitely is. One of the better laning AD carries here, and can transition that well into the late game. We talked about how this team, the Samsung team, is pretty dependent on him doing well. I mean, Jin are a very AD carry focused team too.
We will see. GBM looked so comfortable on this TF the last time we saw them bring it out. And you have to think Samsung was kind of expecting something like this may happen.
Yeah, oh, you have to, but it's really hard to play against those double globals. I mean, the last game that we saw, basically GBM would sometimes port to a lane with his ult, get a kill, and then IM would try and group mid to take mid turret, and he would just TP back to mid tier 2 and then come and clear out the waves with wildcards, and they couldn't do anything, just standing there looking dumb. So it's really hard to play against this. If you can get away with having the TF on with the teleport to match up, if you're confident you don't need the Ignite or the Ghost, it's definitely a great way to go.
Yeah. Pushing that lane up a little bit early gets a faster level 2 than Crown, but it's probably not going to make too much of a difference.
Yep, lane swap comes through, so we're not going to see the Kalista versus the Corki, and instead we are actually just going to have a quick TP into the top lane.
Yep.
From the Maokai. So
a TP down to bottom 2 from Kuve, so both top laners going to be without that for a little while. And Trace, it seems like he would spend a lot of time under that turret here.
Yeah, he's got to be very careful about how he deals with this. Of course, we are on 513, so those Kalista nerfs have come through. Maybe not so much of a priority ban anymore. We've seen it slip through just a little bit more here in Korea.
Yeah, it really hasn't affected it too much yet.
Not too much, no. We did see a couple of Kalista games from Spenu last week. But
that seemed okay for what it's worth. I mean, it was Spenu playing it, but then again, Nuclear is not a bad AD carry.
Definitely not. So taking a look right now, we do see the 4-1 win rate for Chaser, oftentimes banned against him. Teams are afraid of letting him have his Nidalee. And frankly, I don't understand why anybody lets him have it, because if we just think about the way that Jin wins games, it's Chaser getting a huge mountain of money and then hitting you with a bunch of spears and all-inning you on Nidalee and 1v1ing some of your other laners. So it's a bit of a dangerous situation, I feel. Maybe not exactly ideal. We are going to be heading into the Kalista 1v1 versus the Maokai, and then the 2v2 on the bottom side of the map.
We do see Eve kind of sticking around his top jungle right now. It'll be a little bit dangerous for Fury, but he's allowing himself to be pushed back, so it should be fine. Meanwhile, some action down in bot lane. Kuve taking a lot of damage from this trade. Sweden Pilot really putting the hurt on Kuve early on.
Yeah, he has to be careful, but then again, he does. Oh, wow. He has a mountain of potions. Yeah. Has a flask, went back after his level 1, and then bought some more pots. So he can afford to lose some HP when it comes to actually CSing right here. Won't be the end of the world, and starting to heal up already. So it's going to be interesting. Here comes the first TP into the mid lane. So early back and buy from GBM, but you can back and buy at these timings. He's just going to go ahead and get a Doran's Ring and an Amp Tome right away. So the thing about this teleport is it just gives you so much flexibility as Chaser stands in a ward forever. Oh man, then he pinged right after that ward disappeared. So now he's going to think that they didn't see him at all, which they definitely did.
Well, he's leaving bot lane for a while anyway. He's going to go after the Scuttle Crab or the Rift Coward. Take your pick.
Hiding under the water when it gets attacked.
Yep, that's right. What a weakling.
Even though we know it can't get killed, it's actually immortal. Isn't it sad to be an immortal coward.
Well,
that's like the worst thing, right? 'Cause
Well,
he never actually dies.
The real issue here is that what happens when that Scuttle Crab learns that it can't die? What happens when it becomes more self-aware and it's like, you know what, I can't die. I can just fight anybody. It doesn't matter how long it takes.
He's going to go run around Baron.
It's going to become the new Baron, man. It's going to become the most Season 6 change spoiler. Scuttle Crab is the new Baron, guys.
That'd
He's
be hilarious, just the Scuttle
ultra-powerful.
Crab in the Baron pit.
That's right. You can't kill him. You can only just keep him at bay for a while. And if the game goes too long, if it goes like 60 minutes, he comes out of the pit and just destroys both teams. It's called the anti-Ziggs strategy.
It's the anti-Ziggs mechanic in the game.
That's right. You need to have an anti-Ziggs mechanic, I think, to keep it from going too long. Or maybe we should just say anti-SKTS mechanic.
They're dead anyway. Well,
they're long gone.
Mostly.
Well, that type of game from them anyway. GBM going to recall now. We'll see what he ends up finishing. And just kind of a farm fest early on, which is not too surprising.
Just getting the Aether Wisp. He is going to be able to walk into the mid lane. Now he has his ultimate up just in case he needs it. Eve will find a pink ward in mid and go ahead and clear that out. But he's had 2 shops while Victor has only had 1. He is going to lose some CS as a result, but just kind of incrementally staying ahead of Victor. And this first recall from Crown, notice that they dropped a ward in the middle of the lane and also on the upper side by the Raptors. Samsung did right before this came out. So they knew that there was a possibility that GBM would be coming back into lane and looking for a topside teleport because that's the most likely place to gank. And here it comes. Oh boy.
We'll see. Yep, right on the Kube. Kube stopped up immediately. There's a gold card coming in. Can he get away? He's trying to run with that E, but they're just going to dive. Trace's ult ends. GBM with another gold card. Can he finish him off? Chaser goes in for the first blood, and GBM barely escapes his life, or does he? Caster minions just can't quite take him down. He was sub 30 health there for a moment, but despite the craziness, gank number 1 from that TF pays off.
Well, I mean, you just have to expect that is going to happen in this situation. So that is going to be the first kill. It does go on to Chaser, but that was also not a very well executed gank because the idea here is that what they wanted to do was have Twisted Advance start, then the gold card, and have him stunned long enough for the Chaser's spear to go through. But it was a slight misjudgment on that. The spear ended up missing. If that spear had hit, there would be nothing close about that gank whatsoever.
Right.
Ended up being a bit hair-raising, but that's okay.
Well, it did cost him a blue buff as well, too. He was able to come over and hand that to Crown, I believe. Or take it himself.
No, he took it
anyway.
himself, yeah. Blue buff's still up, and you know, this Hecarim being held back is going to be one of the major storylines of this game because the longer they can delay that power spike, the more powerful Jin Air's mid-game window is going to become with this Corki and this Twisted Fate. So this is why I didn't like the Hecarim pick here. You don't have any mobility summoners, which means it's even harder to get out of Maokai Twisted Fate Hell in the top lane.
You know what I like to call Hecarim? Horse Riven. Because it's the same situation where if you're ahead, if you've gotten some kills, if you're doing okay, yeah, fine, that's great. You're gonna be awesome in team fights. But if you're not, you're gonna be pretty useless.
You are definitely going to be useless.
Watch out for the Horse Riven pick.
Horse Riven, he even has a big sword.
It's true.
Like Riven does.
He even like hops sometimes and swings it around.
I do think that Riven players are generally more obnoxious than
that is true.
Than Hecarim players, though.
So much more toxic.
According
to official statistics.
At least they sometimes build tank items to help the team, you know.
That's pretty rare, man. I don't know what server you're playing on.
Ravenous Hydra,
yeah.
Hecarim.
It's like there must be some like secret subreddit or Skype chat somewhere where all the Riven and Vayne players of the world get together and think of ways to just play bad.
They think of new and exciting insults for their teammates.
That's right. They tried to invite the Jungle Master Yi, but he didn't get along with anyone, so they kicked them all. Yeah.
Even that's too much for the Riven players.
That's right, yeah.
Jungle Master Yi is too far.
It's really the lowest form of life. Teleport Smite Master Yi. Oh. Don't get me started, Monte Cristo. Actually, I got me started. Don't get me started, me.
I'm not contributing. I'm encouraging your rants, but not starting them.
Don't continue encouraging what I've started. Oh, they found Kube. Kube face checks the bush. He's going to ult over the wall and escape. But that is an ultimate down for a little while.
Yep. just waiting right in the brush, trying to figure out where Chaser was. Well, they found him, and now Chaser's going to get a lot of free autos in on this top side. So Jin, they're mixing it up. They're playing properly, I think, with the team compositions. They've identified where that weak point is. They're actually going for it right now. Trace is going to have a lot more money than he normally does this game because he's not being dove, he's not behind in CS, and he's going to get solo turret damage, or turret gold rather.
And they're trying to just zone GBM out so they can take a turret themselves. They were about a 1.5k gold ahead, but that lead is going to be cut quite substantially. A good response by Samsung just to take that mid lane turret, and that's going to make it a lot more difficult for GBM to find those ganks. You can't move up far enough in lane to get to the other lanes comfortably.
Yep, Samsung identified that very well too. They knew what Jin had to do, and having that TF bottled up is very problematic. And Victor is such a high damage mid laner that if he's freed up like this to roam, we've seen what Faker can do with mid-game Victor roams on the side lanes, and it's not pretty for the enemy team.
Well, Samsung also claims the first dragon as well. So Jin, I mean, it was a promising early start with that gank, but things have not been too great since then.
Well, they're still up in terms of gold. The Corki's up. GBM's fallen a bit behind, but this team composition is still going to be entering the power spike in 4 to 5 minutes. And if we look at GBM, he already has the home guard boots too. There's a possibility that he can teleport flank with TF, which is also one of the more exciting ways to play Twisted Fate with this port, because you can get into the back line without telegraphing that you're going to be back there. If we think about a normal TF ultimate, obviously teams have a few seconds to react to that, to try and lay down some CC where he's coming in or hit him with some AoE. When he's just zooming in from the side, from the fog of war, you don't have that same luxury of pre-planning where he's going to be coming from, and he doesn't have to get in the middle of the enemy team. He can stay on the flank and continue to threaten the back line with gold cards and wild cards. So
when we talk about GBM being the safe player, right, which is true, but we both know this guy. We know deep down in his heart he wants to be the guy making plays. He wants to be the faker, killing everybody.
To better or worse effect, obviously. I mean, sometimes it works.
Preferably better.
Sometimes it works out for him. Sometimes it doesn't. But
it's where his heart lies, though. He's got a bloodthirsty heart deep inside.
He definitely does. We've seen those big Victor flanks. If the rest of his team can initiate, sometimes he'll just do it for the hell of it. Here comes TP.
Coming down. Yeah, they really want to secure this blue buff. TP coming in from Jin. Trace is there. Luna taking a lot of damage. He's going to get pulled out by the Fate's Call. There's a flash from Trace. Can he get close enough? Gold card is going to mean the Twisted Advance will land, and Fury is going to get taken out. And Jin with a nice catch there. That blue steal was a little bit too overambitious for Samsung.
Yeah, they had the wards in, but they weren't respecting the double TP. Kuve didn't actually TP into that one, and they thought they had gotten away. Luna was flung out with the Fate's Call, but Callista just couldn't get out of range in time when it came to GBM just porting in and the follow-up flash Twisted Advance from Trace. So, I mean, this composition is so good at creating picks. They've got a lot of burst damage right now, and that's a scary thing to deal with.
Well, you and I were talking about this earlier. A lot of the lowest teams in the league as far as wins go have some of the highest amounts of warding and ward clearing, but they just don't seem to be able to deal with it. You know, they don't seem to be able to use that vision to win games. Well, make good plays.
Yeah, it's true. They oftentimes have the information, but they fail to make the proper calls based on that information. Like you can see, blue buff was a threat right here, and they knew that there were 2 globals up, but still Kuve's not responding to that gank. And you're facing a Jin team that is very comfortable in the early game, particularly right now. Pilot's in a very good position.
Do you feel like that shows a bit of an immaturity as far as strategy goes on a team to be like, you know, we'll just throw a lot of wards down and we'll be fine. We'll just have the vision, we'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just they'll transition from not having wards to having wards but making the wrong decisions to hopefully having wards and making the right decisions. And we can definitely say Samsung has come a long way since the spring started this year when they had to start with that brand new slate after all of their players left at the end of 2014.
Yeah, they are still a team very much in a rebuilding year. There's a knock-up onto Sweet with a little bit of damage. He's got plenty of sustain. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Samsung, they've been making progress, and who knows what they'll look like next year. They've got a long way to go.
As they do. So Samsung here up one dragon already, but they're not too far behind in terms of gold total. And actually, Kuve's done a good job of dealing with this laning phase. He died, but he's only behind 6 CS.
Yeah.
So he did get some extra farm as Jin Air was trying to make plays on the bottom side of the map.
Well, Dragon is up in 2 minutes now, and Samsung already pushing down this bot turret, getting a lot of wards in, getting ready for it. They may lose their top tier 2 for it, though.
Yeah, Chaser on the top side of the map, very interestingly right now, they're just deciding that they're going to go for a tier 2 at top and then a tier 1 in mid at the same time.
I guess so.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Gate comes in, Kuve at about half health, he's going to regret it. GBM loads up that gold card, hits him during the ultimate, can there be enough damage? Oh, he dodges the spear, and Kuve gets out. They're probably still going to get this turret, but Kuve once again evades death. They might not even get the turret with the health on Chaser right now.
That probably wasn't worth it. GBM maybe could have stayed mid and gotten it with that Sheen if they had gone for the objectives instead. Hard to tell. I didn't see the mid tower HP right there.
It was kind of, it seemed like it was yet another situation where if that spear would have landed, they probably could have killed him.
Right, and also the gold card was late. If he had hit Kuve before the Onslaught of Shadows came through, well then maybe we're talking about a situation where the Nidalee is able to catch up with the Hecarim a little bit sooner, but it's not the way it was going to work.
Yep. And so Samsung with a good amount of vision around the dragon as it draws closer. But can they use that to take a second one here?
Yeah, not a lot of wards for Jin Air on the bottom side of the map, especially since Chaser was just on the top side, and he's been building the warding totem right now instead of actually going for a Sightstone. So just Runeglaive into Rod of Ages, pretty normal for Nidalee builds, but it does mean that you're just going to have fundamentally fewer wards on the map. GBM also upgrading his sweeper super early in this game for a mid laner, and even though he finished his Lichbane, he doesn't have that many items yet, particularly compared to Crown, so it's going to be hard for them to actually fight a 5v5 at the Dragon, especially with both the mid and bottom lanes so far pushed up.
They're just going to give it up and see if they can take the tier 2, it looks like, in top. So Samsung going up 2 dragons, and this is certainly a bit nerve-wracking for Jin Air.
They have to be hitting this power spike now, but they're running a split push in a pick composition, so they just don't have the power because of the way that GBM is itemized to fight in a 5v5. Victor is just going to do way more damage in a team fight, and GBM is built to split push, put pressure on turrets with the Lichbane, or create picks with his kind of single target burst.
Yeah. Trinity Force picked up by Kuve now. That's a nice big buy for Samsung.
Yeah, didn't get it too much later than Pilot either, so he really hasn't been held back. Kuve died once, but otherwise has avoided those ganks coming in from Jin Air. And we'll see, Jin Air needs to start getting some more towers down. Yes, they still have a gold lead, but I would be very scared of Samsung's composition in the late game. And Hecarim is still a massive threat when it comes to damage on your backline, especially the Twisted Fate.
Yeah. All right, bottom lane turret going to be taken by Jin Air, so they do at least tie things up in that regard. A little bit more gold for their team. They are still ahead by about 3,000 gold at the moment.
Trace on the run. He's underneath his turret, but there's 3 people up here.
Yeah, there's a slow. Are they going to actually dive this? Meanwhile, wow, Jin Air just going right for that tier 2, just really trying to pressure Kuve. Chase is right there. Trace is backed off in the top lane, so he's not going to be ganked anytime soon.
Yeah, and Jin Air, they know, they see this situation, they say, okay, you're just going to take our tier 1. We have a Sheen, we have a Nidalee heal that gives Pilot more auto attack speed, so we can actually burn through these towers faster. Oh,
Kuve got caught completely, and there's a kill for Chaser.
There are 2 Sheens right there. You cannot do that. He doesn't have the tankiness yet to actually make that play, so Jin Air gets a bit of a gimme in the bottom lane when it comes to that kill. They did lose some HP on their mid lane turret. Crown is a big threat at the moment.
Yeah.
And they didn't get the tier 2, but they kept Kuve down just a little bit more.
Yeah, it can't be that aggressive with just the Trinity Force.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, so that gives Trace a little bit of time to push that top lane back up again as Kuve returns from the dead. And GBM still keeping that mid lane fairly safe for now. And Chaser with both the kills on Jin Air at the moment is a pretty powerful Nidalee, but at what point does that start kind of hurting Jin Air?
well,
the rest of the team.
Oh, I mean, as long as they can continue kiting and poking, he is going to be much more of a threat than this Gragas in the late game. And we've seen how much damage some of these spears can do once you start getting those Rod of Ages stacks, especially since Rod of Ages now gives more AP than it used to.
Oh yeah, it's true.
It does become quite damaging, and of course the Nidalee will probably build a Luden's Echo next. So there's a lot of threat here.
Yeah, Faker just going through the Wraith camp, or Wraith camp, wow. Went back in time for that one, through the Raptor camp.
Just traveling back in time.
Yeah.
Magical time journey with Doa.
That's right. We're going back to the age where Nivea was, no, not quite that far back. Although we did see an Nivea last season.
We did.
Yeah. It was Faker.
It was
Faker pretty much just plays everything, though. He's like, he just kind of rolls the dice and is like, what will I play today? Master Yi? Okay.
Twice, no less.
Yep.
He just has one die with all the champion portraits on him. It's massive.
Pretty
it's like
much
the size
like
of a baseball, and he just rolls it.
It's basically just a golf ball at that point, you know. And more damage onto that mid lane tier 2. Have you ever seen a 100-sided die?
Yes, I have.
It's fairly close to a golf ball.
You would need more than a 100-sided die, though.
Yeah, you would. 120 something sides.
Yeah, 24, I think. Is the current count? I don't know.
I wouldn't know either. A lot. It's been upgraded to many. About 2 minutes until that next dragon. Jin Air really could use this one, but they can, I suppose they can threaten Baron a bit.
Yeah, they can. It's very problematic for Jin Air that they do not have the enemy mid tower down, and they probably should be looking to group on that objective, just so they can have some more control. I mean, even trading the next dragon for that mid turret would do a lot for their pick composition, because the problem right now is they need to make picks, but they can't get into the enemy jungle because that mid tower is still up, so it's a bit dangerous. They want to kind of take it to the next level. They need Samsung to be able to overextend, and that means the mid turret has to die, because otherwise there's a very easy place to take refuge at right dead center in the map.
Well, again, you know, we talked about those stats with wards on Samsung. Jin Air, no doubt, is aware of that as well, too. So taking that mid lane turret could deny a lot of vision, could hurt that decision-making for Samsung even more.
Yeah, still no wards on the actual dragon itself by Jin Air as we get up here into the
That's a bit surprising.
45-second range. Well, I mean, they only have 2 ward totems and 1 sightstone. It's not exactly the same.
And Samsung already all over the dragon pit, probably going to throw some of their own wards down in just a moment. Positioning themselves to take that one. I mean, we've seen Jin Air recently in the last few minutes prioritize vision over the top part of the enemy jungle. So I wonder what they're going to do with that.
They could maybe make a trade onto the Hecarim. Hecarim trying to run right now. There's the twisted advance.
Yeah, a little bit of damage. Chaser coming from behind. It looks like Kube's in a lot of trouble here. Sweet coming up right now as well, too. GBM staying towards the mid. They need to defend that mid lane turret. They can't give that up. Looks like they're going to give up the dragon, though, as GBM goes top. There's a gold card, and of course they're going to get the kill on Kube, but that's another dragon. Oh, knocked right back by Sweet.
That was hilarious.
I was wondering what happened there for a second.
It's like, what the hell? So now the question is, can they do something about this Baron while they're a man down? They have a 30-second timer. They have some good vision around that objective. I think you just got to go for it if you're Jin Air right now.
I guess they will. I mean, mid lane is pushing up enough that they wouldn't need to worry necessarily about that tier 2 turret. Everybody going towards the pit. 16 seconds left for Kube. They're going to go for it.
Even though Kube has TP up right now with Kalista all the way on the bottom side of the map. This was such an obvious call. Samsung really dropping the ball here.
Well, here comes Samsung trying to get up to the Baron pit just in time to take it. Can they do it? Doesn't look like it. Jin Air gets that Baron, and now they're going to go forward. Sweet takes a lot of damage, and he's going to back off. Can they get to defend that mid lane turret, though? I don't think that one's going to survive.
Well, they have home guards, and they've got, looks like
it's too low health.
They have too low health, so we'll go down. But in that situation, what poor shot calling from Samsung. You know your top laner just died. You take the dragon, you're on that side of the map, you take the blue buff. You don't go show your Kalista on the bottom side when there's still 20 seconds left on your top laner, even if he does have TP.
Yeah.
That was the world's easiest Baron for Jin Air.
Now they got to make something happen with it. They are down 2 turrets.
They still have 2 globals up, and they have a very strong siege composition with Nidalee and Corki. And they're still tier 1, so it's basically just free money for Jin sitting there.
Free money sounds good. Free gold in this case, which I guess is a form of money for League of Legends.
Yeah, their flanks aren't very well warded, though, so Jin is going to back off. They finally are starting to get some of those in. They want the red buff. Looks like they're just going to wait to push mid until they have a threat onto the tier 2s and top and bottom. You can see they're sort of delaying their push right now.
Yep. And this is Jin. Delay. Play the late game. Runin's Hurricane helping Fury push the lanes pretty quick right now.
TF can't push forward because they don't have deep wards inside the enemy's jungle, so very problematic situation. Jin, if they can't take a tier 1 mid off of this, especially when they see Crown in the bottom side.
Yeah. Well, look at the vision, too, for Samsung. They know where everybody is right now. I mean,
Crown absolutely should not
Trace.
be in the bottom side either. He should be in mid because he's got the major wave clear. Yes, Kalista has that Hurricane, but Kalista has to get him close to hit the whole wave.
Yeah, not going to work.
Very poor lane assignment from Samsung.
Jin just going to keep pushing for the moment anyway. Going to take that tier 2 and top as well. So tying up the turrets overall right now, and we talked about how important getting that mid lane turret down was for Jin. It's going to really free up GBM as he pushes that bot lane back into Crown.
I mean, it's not over yet, even with this 5K gold lead, because Samsung does have these powerful late game carries in Victor and Hecarim.
Oh, teleport. Potentially coming in here. GBM pops it. May have just wanted to get an idea of where Crown was at.
Nope, Crown knows he's screwed, so he's just going to start running around the jungle. Starts to play aggressively instead.
Goodbye, Victor.
Crown playing too far forward without wards.
Yep, this is what happens. There's the gold card. There's the kills coming in, and Pilot going to take one. His first kill of the game.
Samsung is mostly losing to themselves this game, honestly.
Yeah. Well, like you said, poor lane assignments, poor decision making as far as leaving that Baron open.
They were holding it together in the laning phase, but their shot calling has not been on point.
This is exactly what we've been talking about. Tons of wards, tons of vision, but just not really being able to make the right decisions with it. It's pretty classic example of exactly what we were talking about when this game was getting going.
It's not over for him, though, so there's that encouraging sign at least. I mean, now the Aegis is done for Eve, so that's a very important item against Jin because they are majority magic damage. I mean, they're almost exclusively magic damage.
Yeah. Not going to save the tier 2, though. Chaser tanking a bit. Sweet can handle it as well. And so that's 3 turrets taken.
Yeah.
With in the space of mostly that Baron buff.
Yeah, very good. They got kills. They got 3 towers. They got the Baron, and that leaves them with a very, very large gold lead right now.
Yeah, and they should be able to transition that into a first dragon as well, too, which will be a nice little power bump with that AP and attack damage boost.
Well, they got to get the next dragon. That's
Samsung's ticket to stay in this game.
Yeah.
So you need to take that last dragon.
I mean, Samsung still doesn't even have a kill in this game because Jin has been playing a very evasive and a defensive style. They just refuse to fight in that 5v5. And to Jin credit, it's worked out for them. I mean, if you know that the other team can only win through powering through in team fights and you can play the better macro game, well, sometimes you just give the more novice team the runaround, and it's been working.
Why not? Will Jin claim this next dragon? It looks like they really can. Oh, knockup. Sweet takes some decent damage. Fury comes in a little bit. They're going to be able to clear that pink ward. Samsung still has a bit of a dangerous team fight to bring against Jin.
Scary. They have a lot of AoE damage. So.
All right. Looks like he's just going to go top. They found Cuvée yet again. Cuvée trying to get away with that onslaught of shadows. Another gold card could lock him down. Will he get there in time? There's a flash gold card from GBF. Trace follows up with a twisted advance, and that's going to be... Oh, is it going to be a kill? It will. GBM picks it up at the last moment. Cuvée has been very slippery all game long.
Yeah, he's done a good job because this is a composition that meant almost certain doom for him in the top lane. So, sure, he's 0-4-0 and he's 2/3 of Jin kills, but he's made it very difficult. And every time Cuvée dies, except for this time, because remember, there's still 2 teleports up for Trace and GBM, that they've actually been able to make a play and start stacking those dragons. They got 3 dragons for Kuve's death, so it's not so bad, really.
Yeah. This time around, though, Jin with the big edge, able to take that dragon and get that first dragon buff, which is really, really nice. Baron coming up in a minute as well, too. So if they can get enough wards down, they should be able to with their poke, just kind of zone Samsung right out.
Yep. Next Baron is going to be very problematic for Samsung.
Right.
You know, I talked a little bit about maybe playing Rumble earlier in this game. This same thing would have happened to Rumble for Kuve. Maybe Gnar would have been the better choice, actually, just so you have some more escapability. It does limit your backline threat, but I think something like Gnar Annie would probably have been a more preferable setup, actually. But
Luna really hasn't been able to make anything significant happen on this Janna. The most he's done is like shield turrets that are about to die.
I mean, I don't really like Janna and Kalista together. If we talk about Kalista Annie, you have this insane kill pressure in the 2v2. But Kalista's going to be, especially if you build like he is, which is Black Cleaver Runins, you're going to be in the middle of a team fight because you have to get that armor shred down. You're trying to hit as many targets as possible. So what is Janna really going to do for you there?
It's pretty big anti-synergy, really.
Yeah, I mean, even if she gets in there and monsoons everybody, she's going to put people outside of Hurricane's range. I mean, Fury basically just has to go suicidal here, try and get as many stacks on the Black Cleaver as possible, and Kuve can then come clean it up.
That's the plan. Kuve has the Spirit Visage now, which of course is pretty nice.
Very nice against the composition of Jin sure. So Void Staff now done for Chaser. He's nearly done stacking that Rod of Ages too, so he's really hitting his prime, and GBM will just be split pushing on the bottom side of the map. TP still available.
Yep, he can join them at that Baron if he needs to. And he probably will need to. Looks like there's some recalls, though, coming in. Sweet going back. And how is Jin going to handle this advance down the mid lane from Samsung?
Well, they can't really put any pressure onto the inhibitor turret. That's not going to help Samsung very much right now. They may be able to punish Pilot's overextension right here. Pilot on the run.
Yeah, looks like Samsung, though, is just going to be content taking out some of these wards on their way out. So Pilot is safe for the moment. And you're Corky, too, so you've got a decent escape.
So here we go. Can Jin actually clean out this Baron right now? That should be what they're looking for at the given time. They have to be able to take Baron to really do much of anything. But nothing so far. Sweet just slowly going to start working on that pink ward. Has a nice ring of vision around him to see if anybody's going to come stop him from doing that. It's not going to be anybody, but that's the last ward that Samsung had on the Baron. Pilot's going to go back, pick up another BF sword for his Infinity Edge. And then we shall see. He needs to buy Infinity Edge, too. He can't go Bloodthirster this game.
Yeah, he definitely needs the damage. Absolutely. And Samsung may get a chance to just walk back in here and take out the wards.
Giving up that pink ward for free.
That hurts.
Yeah, very problematic. And Eve also managing to get some deep wards in. He's backed up there by Luna. So that pretty much undid a lot of the last couple of minutes that Jin had managed to achieve because they had so many recalls during that time.
It's been bizarre. I mean, they just put wards down, then they back away, and they're like, all right, well, hopefully they won't kill them this time. But they do. They always do.
And they just get a million more wards around that Baron pit. And so...
Well, that's what we were talking about, too, where Samsung has been very, very aware of wards that they need to clear out. They do it all game long. So does Jin now, apparently. Well, this has been a very long Baron dance.
Here we go again.
GBM just going down the bot. They're going to try to jump onto Kuve, but Kuve's very tanky right now. I don't think there's going to be an opportunity. He's going to ult right onto GBM. Luna coming in as well. GBM on the run, not going to get hit by that whirlwind, so there's no follow-up. Meanwhile, Baron being done right now by Jin. Teleport coming up. Trace needs to get there. GBM can teleport as well. He pops it at the moment. I think he's going in. Eve tries to mix things up a bit. GBM coming from the side here. Baron taken by Jin. Nice big knockup by Sweep. And now Samsung in a bit of trouble, all grouped up. Luna very, very low. They need to take out Sweet though, and they get him. That's a kill for Crown. Jin on the run right now. Luna with a good heal. They managed to take down Trace as well. Meanwhile, everybody recalling, so Jin takes the Baron, but they lose everybody but their carries.
Well, they
messy.
got a little cute right there. Obviously, they were trying to pull the surprise tactic of getting the gank down and then starting Baron at the same time.
Yeah.
GBM threw his gold card onto the turret, actually, getting some tower damage, so he actually did not hit Cube. And now there are 5 people here. They may lose an inhibitor for this.
I think it looks like they're going to. Yeah, nobody able to stop them, and just like that, Samsung charges back against the Jin with Baron and takes the center inhibitor.
Wow, that is... I mean,
Pretty bad.
good shot calling from Samsung right here. GBM just gets there a little bit late, and there's a split call. They want to go after this Baron and then turn afterwards. But remember that Samsung has a lot of late-game damage comparatively, so it does get a little bit dodgy. Also, GBM doesn't do much in that fight besides throw a wild card at the Baron and then get a gold card onto Luna, which doesn't really do anything.
And Fury just pretty much untouched.
Yeah, GBM actually did need to get in there. Remember that he had a Zhonya's Hourglass, so there wasn't actually that much threat. GBM really should have just flanked harder in that fight to put the pressure on the carries.
Well, the Dragon's back up again, and Jin still in that situation where they need to deny this from Samsung. They can't let them have that 4th Dragon. That gives them too much leverage over the map. But Samsung looking scary. They do still have a really strong team fight despite being 7,000 gold down. We just saw it.
Yeah, well, we'll see it if GBM actually does damage. They're going to try and split push right here again. GBM's ultimate is up. He should be well within range to actually contest this. A very interesting game of chicken going on right now.
Well, trying to poke with the rockets, with the spears. Samsung going after the Dragon. The Dragon getting low. Chaser's going to have to try something. The Dragon's starting to reset just a bit. GBM taking down a turret in the bot lane in the meantime. That's right. So they may give up this Dragon for an inhibitor. Dragon taken by Samsung. They get their 4th. But they're going to lose an inhibitor for it.
What else? There's still a Baron buff here.
They may actually lose a Nexus turret, too. They may lose the game out of this. Samsung barely getting away from the team, yeah.
He's got to get out. He's just going to pour it out right now. Can he get? Nope.
Wow. He's actually... Oh, there you go. Very crafty. Half of a Nexus turret and a half done there as well. And now they're just going back to defend.
They lost a Nexus turret of their own to the super minions, though. So,
wow,
kind of an even trade in the end.
I guess.
Wow, this game is hilarious.
I mean, the thing is, I suppose in Jin favor, their inhibitor is going to be up before Samsung's is right now. But now Samsung has 4 Dragons, so their team fight was strong enough. With 5, it's going to be even better.
But the Baron's going to be up. The inhibitor is still going to be down more than likely once the Baron respawns in the bottom side. So there's some interesting play that can be made here, certainly by Jin. Having a mid turret down at 40 minutes, or a mid inhibitor down at 40 minutes into the game isn't the end of the world. GBM is building a Giant's Belt, so it looks like he will be going for a Rylai's as they want to kite.
Wow, okay, well that makes sense.
Not bad.
I mean, again, with the AP item changes, right now Rylai's does give you a bit more power than it used to, and you still get that slow. So with the TF, with those long-range spells, makes sense to add a slow onto it, you know?
Yeah, you can kite very nicely for the rest of your team as you head into 6 items. Do I think... Yeah, actually, I do think in this case it's better than a Luden's Echo. Because it's going to give Pilot more time to auto-attack.
It does give you the ability to brawl a bit more, too, which you should never really be doing with TF, but in this case, they may have to get a little bit messy in these team fights. Why does a belt turn into a scepter, by the way? How does that work exactly, Riot?
Belt scepter? Well, first off, you...
well, you need a place to keep the scepter, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what the belt is for.
I think you just take the belt off and then stuff it, so it becomes long.
Oh.
As opposed to just wrapped around your waist.
Okay, then. I see. So you unroll the belt, so it's long. I see you're going
glue
for
it to a stick.
Yeah, okay. I get it. You're like, if I took this beautiful belt and I unrolled it and wrapped it around a staff, it would make a great scepter. This Rylai guy, man, he's ahead of his time. And
he's a fashion innovator, you know.
Runeterra fashion. That's right. GBM takes down a mid-tier 2. And so the pressure's still mounting over Samsung here. Maybe it's detachable, so you can just turn it back into a belt, depending on the occasion. Some occasions are not really scepter-carrying occasions, you know?
I don't know. I think all my formal functions are scepter-carrying occasions, Doa.
What if it's an informal function, though, you know?
Well, you know, as king, I don't really have many of those.
King Christo. That sounds like a great sandwich, but I don't know if it sounds like reality, man. Jin Air trying to push up this top lane now. GBM still in bot. And the inhibitor for Jin Air should be coming up relatively soon. Should be coming back. Baron up in 1:20 as well.
Yeah, this inhibitor should be quite close, but regardless, GBM still turning on the heat on the bottom side. So somebody's going to have to stay back to deal with it. Kuve does have his teleport up, as do GBM and Trace, so TP's all around. But we could see just a back door here from
That's the thing,
from Jin Air. The reality is that inhibitor's back up in mid now, so the last super minion will be cleared out, and Jin Air can just simply threaten the Baron, and GBM can just sit here. I mean, he's been sitting in this brush for forever. I guess that's their plan.
Well, I mean, the other thing, too, is GBM can literally just TP into the base and end the game,
yes,
too.
Exactly. No, he could totally just backdoor.
Yeah.
While they threaten the Baron.
Well, they certainly do have the edge. Strategically at the moment. Baron in 30 seconds, Dragon in 1:30, so that's a pretty comfortable spot of time for
Nobody
Jin Air to worry
has
about
seen
both.
GBM in a really long time right now. They have no idea that he's been standing there in that brush.
We know. We know where he's been.
I mean, Chaser was just seen by a ward in the tri-brush, but TF's location is a bit of a mystery right now, and they're not going to see him. Now they see his cards, so
okay.
the jig is up.
I was just about to start the James Bond theme song, but it didn't work out. Or actually, the Mission Impossible theme song. That'd be a better one. Yeah, that'd be a better one. I mean, James Bond is okay, too. You know, if you, like, teleport in behind someone and come out and assassinate him, that's a pretty James Bond kind of thing to do.
James Bond is far less sneaky.
He can be sneaky sometimes. Come on, the new James Bond seems much more sneaky than the old one.
I don't know. I think on a scale,
the old one,
scale, they're both pretty low.
The old one, though, the old James Bond would like just
on the scale,
roll up in his Aston Martin and just like roll down the window and say, "Hi, I'm James Bond," and point a gun at you and kill you. He's like, "Oh, for Queen and Country, have a bullet," courtesy of James Bond.
On a scale of Solid Snake to, I don't know, Shen in terms of sneakiness.
Well, GBM. This gold card on to Kuve. GBM actually showboating a little bit here. He's still taking a lot of damage.
He cannot 1v1 Kuve, but Chaser's there.
GBM.
This is weird. Okay, so Luna's just going to come down to the bottom side.
That was very James Bond of him. It's like, let me show you my card, is what he says as he, right here, take my card. Something like that. I'd be a bad James Bond. I admit it.
That's your catchphrase?
I'd be a bad James Bond?
No, here, take my card.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if I was TF,
Luna,
sure.
what?
Uh-oh,
Spear
Luna
missed.
could be in trouble, yeah. And GBM not getting close enough for a gold card. What is going on here? Fury comes in, hopping away, trying to catch him. Nice ult from Groggets. GBM on the run, still in trouble. They're going to catch Chaser. That's a kill for Samsung. What is happening? Sweet and Trace getting overrun as well. Pilot has no protection. He can't do anything in this fight. And Samsung is going to win this team fight and maybe the game off of this. Wow, Big Ren takes out Sweet.
They're going to get Dragon number 5. And I mean, right there, Jin Air got found out. The jig was up. They knew what GBM and Chaser were trying to do. So, you know what? They just called their bluff. They're like, okay, you're just going to be down on this bottom side. We're just going to collapse on you with all 5 members of our team.
I feel like Jin Air really kind of outsmarted themselves.
Yep, they
just
certainly
now.
did.
Yeah, like, oh, we're so tricky. But Samsung, they don't abide by that kind of thing.
5 Dragons. This base is going to go down super fast. There's only one Nexus turret, and Samsung has a big edge in 5v5 team fighting.
It's going to have to be some pretty amazing heroics here from Trace if they're going to do this. Gold card comes in onto Kuve. That's not the person you need to. How are they going to get to Fury? They can't. They can't stop Fury. GBM just can't get in there and do damage. Pilot running out. They get the kill to Gragas, but the Nexus taken out so fast. And Samsung, wow, with a surprise game 1, and that one's a bit embarrassing for Jin Air. Uh-oh.
It was kind of embarrassing for everybody, Noah.
Yeah, I was embarrassed to cast that.
It was silly. That was a very silly game.
Yes, it was.
Jin Air, they definitely outsmarted themselves in that game. And Chaser, you know, he missed some pretty clutch spears. It was a nice flash from Luna right there at the end to dodge that ability. But basically, there were just 5 Samsung members on the bottom side of the map. They just decided to box in GBM and Chaser, and they made it work. It was a great call from Samsung, honestly, to stop the shenanigans in the